Above all, not give up. So many people these days I see giving up, and they give up an inch before the touchdown. They give up right on the precipice of getting a phone call or a decision that could change their life forever. You can always find something to be thankful for as long as you're breathing.
What else do you think entrepreneurs should be doing on a daily basis so they can go fight for their dreams? There he is. That's a crazy lion you have behind you.
When I have a bad hair day, I put this line up, and it takes the emphasis away from.
I love it. I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Henry Penix, super successful entrepreneur. He had me on his show not too long ago. Built his first company from 1 to 300 people, sold it, became a millionaire at 35, 36, somewhere in there.
35.
And then launched a whole bunch of different businesses and getting involved in Starbucks and Subways and private schools and real estate and all over the map, technology companies. And he's now launched a new brand to be more public-facing, the Business Fighter. And if you know about his story and watch his content, you'll see about how he's been fighting his entire life, from the bankers who said no to him to grade school and standing up to bullies and maybe doing a little crazy things.
Yeah.
But he's the business fighter, and he's going to join us for a little bit here. Henry, welcome aboard, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, Evan. As you know, I've studied your stuff and looked at your stuff. Last time we spoke, when I had you on my podcast, we were like brothers from another mother, and I so enjoyed the content that you have. You cut right through the fluff, get to the core, how to have fun, but you also get to the core of the issue and give people real things they can walk away with, and you're never wasting anyone's time. So I really appreciate that about you.
Cool, man. Thank you. I'm curious from your side, why the decision to make this a public thing now? Like, why the show? Why not just keep building businesses? Why have a podcast, YouTube, Instagram? What's the motivating factor for you now?
Yeah, well, I'm actually still building businesses. I'm still consulting, but and I get this question asked a lot. Henry, why go forth with the effort? Because it's difficult to do this. It's not just an easy peasy. You pick up the camera and start talking. But I always thought, if the Henry now could have talked to the Henry at 21 or 23 or 25, what would he say? And more than that, how much could he really help that guy back then? And when I got thinking about that, I thought, now in the age that everything's captured on video, people can use this for generations. And if I can help somebody miss a pothole here and there, I think there's a certain amount of experience that you need to go through yourself to build your character and your faith and all that. But if I can help people avoid some of those steps and get to A to Z a little bit faster in their life, they can do more while they're here on this earth. So that's my main inspiration.
So our audiences are going to be pretty similar. I'm targeting entrepreneurs, people who are either in the early stage of just getting started or have had some success in trying to get to the next step. Your message of being the business fighter, I think, applies super well, because as an entrepreneur, nothing is handed to you. You got to fight for everything. You got people who tell you that your idea is stupid and you can't do this. What do you think are the biggest fights that entrepreneurs have to go through to get their goals to actually happen?
Probably the fight within themselves. Can I do it? Am I worthy? Do I have what it takes? Against the backdrop of sometimes even family members saying, you shouldn't do this, you can't do this, don't you know what your mom and dad did? Don't you know where you come from? And, it's something. And Evan, I think, when you get a desire, and I think desire comes from my creator. The word desire in itself comes from the Latin root word sire, which means of the father. And I think when my creator gives me a certain desire in my heart, I also get equipped with everything I need to accomplish that desire. However, not everybody's going to understand that, sometimes not even family. So if I have something in my heart that's my desire and I've committed to, and all these people are telling me, no, you can't, you're too young, you're too old, you're too big, you're too little, you're too rich, you're too poor, whatever the excuse, if they don't understand, Evan, that's okay, because it's not their desire, it's my desire. So I think when I hook in on that and I can really commit to it 1,000% and do what it takes, and above all, not give up. So many people these days I see giving up, and they give up an inch before the touchdown. They give up right on the precipice of getting a phone call or a decision that could change their life forever, but they walk away from things. They give things up. I've been involved in companies where the founder says, I'm done with it. And I'll look at it and take it. And in 30 days, something huge will happen that turned the whole thing around. And if he would have just hung on, or she would have just hung on one more day, sometimes one more week, one more month, and be encouraged that the desire they have in their heart is not on accident. That's purposeful. And if they follow that desire, they can succeed if they don't give up.
And so how do you win that internal game?
Yeah, I think through meditation. I think through surrounding yourself with like-minded people. I think finding people who have done what you've done successfully. I think that's always been a big one for me. You know, I can surround myself with people who tell me why it won't work, or I can surround myself with people who tell me how it can work. And so I'm very careful in who I even hang around with. You know, birds of a feather flock together. You can go on and on with the sayings, but I think when you surround yourself with people that are positive, people that are uplifting, not in a fantasy world, but people who really have been there and done that you could admire and respect, I think that's where you get your encouragement to keep moving forward and win that internal struggle of, am I good enough? Am I white enough? Am I black enough? Am I rich enough? Am I poor? You know, like, you can win those arguments with yourself and you can have success.
And I think what's great too, especially now, is that even if you don't know somebody, you can watch their content. Like, you can watch the Business Fighter show, or listen to the podcast, or follow on IG, or follow me in my channel, and you get a little bit of Evan or a little bit of Henry in your life every day, even though you may never actually meet us, right? Like, that opportunity was only available in books, I guess, before, but now it's opened up.
No, 1,000%, and you hit the nail on the head. You have no excuse not to surround yourself with greatness now. And I'm not calling me or you great, but I'm just saying great content, great people that have overcome obstacles, people that before you didn't have access to. So the internet has become the great equalizer. It can put us in front of people that we couldn't even pay to see. You know, people who have made decisions like you've made, like I've made, that want to give back, that want to bring the best content to people to help them move to that next level. You can do that now, and you can do it pretty easy. You can do it with the click of a button. So anyway, yeah, I'm with you, man. I would encourage people to do that and surround yourself. You can hear somebody in 20 minutes and learn what you could by reading a book that may take you a week to read. You can feel their spirit. You can see how they come across on the video, and in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to overcome that internal struggle.
What kind of meditation do you do?
Very quiet.
Okay. I don't know many loud meditations though, Henry.
No,
I guess
man,
the chanting. Some people chant.
Believe it or not, I know some people who crank the music to meditate, but I love getting in my car. I know in some states it's not, you know, cars aren't that big of a deal, but where I'm from, they are. And sometimes I'll just go to a parking lot, or I'll get in a park, or I'll take a walk in the woods and just be by myself. And I like at least 20 minutes if I can, you know, just schedule it in my day. I have a thing called the walk and talk in the mornings, and I'll return some calls, and then I'll put my headphones up and I'll just walk and think. And you know, when I meditate, I start out with thinking of the things that I'm grateful for. Mm-hmm. And as I think of those things, Evan, it's amazing how creative ideas come in, and just being grateful. Just, you know, thank you for the ability to walk and talk and be here in an amazing country, and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for my family. You can always find something to be thankful for as long as you're breathing. And when I do that, when I start my meditations out that way, I always get creative ideas that pop in. I get solutions to answers that I've been thinking about sometimes for months, and it really works.
So here's what I'm trying to figure out with meditation. I see it as two different options. One is present mindfulness, and then the other is a different state of consciousness. So when I meditate for 20 minutes, it feels like 20 minutes. But there's other people who can meditate for 20 minutes and feel like it was only 45 seconds.
Right.
Which one are you doing?
Well, you know, sometimes, like when I have a lot on my mind and I've set aside 20 minutes to meditate, it'll take 10 or 15 to get all the clutter out. You know, I have to turn everything off. I have to totally be there. And then those next 10, 15 minutes for me seem like a minute, because if you truly clear your mind, and you know, you can talk about transcendence and all of that stuff, which that's, you know, a little far out there. But when you really clear your mind and you have nothing else there, and you come from an attitude of gratitude and of thankfulness, time begins to fly for me. I mean, it passes so quick, and then I miss it.
So let's talk about daily habits. So meditation, super important for you. Surrounding yourself with something greater, whether that's consuming a podcast or video content or a book. What else do you think entrepreneurs should be doing on a daily basis so they can go fight for their dreams?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, a lot of people, especially some people that I surround myself with, they're always wanting to be a part of a greater cause. They're always wanting to help others. And in some of the mastermind groups that I'm in, we found that unless you take care of yourself first, you can't help others. You know, the best made Ferrari runs out of gas. You got to go to the gas station. So you know, even before I wake up in the morning, like the night before, I'll jot down some things in my mind that when I sleep, my subconscious can think about. And sometimes in the morning, I'll wake up and have that answer. Or maybe I get through my daily, you know, hour or two of emails and trying to respond to people, and that answer will just pop in my mind. And I think, well, where did that come from? It was the night before when I wrote those things down and I allowed my subconscious mind to think about it. So I think that's very important. I think the amount of sleep that you need on a daily basis, I think it's different with different people. But unless I get about 7 hours, you know, 6 to 7 hours, I'm not at the top of my game. So I purposefully make sure that I get those, you know, 6, 7 hours the night before. I love doing my walk and talk. You know, it's a morning thing that I do. I already tell people, if you hear dogs in the background or birds, or if you hear me starting to pant, it's not because I like you that much. It's because I'm walking and talking. You know, like I'm just real with people and fit them into that part of my morning. And it's that ritual every morning that I can wake up with, listen to something inspiring. I may read a little bit, but something to really, you know, I'm in control of how I start my day. The world isn't. Like that's what you have to realize first. And if you're really in control, you're going to do those things that you know that are going to make you strong enough. You're that Ferrari filling yourself up with gas so that you can go out and help other people. But unless you do that first, you're not going to be able to fully be your best and help others.
What are you listening to right now that gets you inspired in the morning? Evan
Carmichael is one of the best. No, dude, I'm serious. Before I even knew who you were, when you interviewed other people and you took like the best out of certain people's interviews and you laid all that out, you know, like I said earlier, you cut through the fluff. That's really important, man. And I don't even think you know how many people you're really affecting positively.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's a hard number to quantify, right? Like 300 million people have seen the videos. What does that even mean?
No,
feels
I know. and how
giant.
Many people have seen that and told other people? You know, you don't even, you know, you'll be up in the billions probably, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Hard to wrap your head around, but something to be grateful for sure.
No, but I love that. I love people who cut through the fluff and things that will inspire. Sometimes I won't listen to anything, any speech or anything. I'll just put on music that I love, you know, and I love all kinds of music. I listen to pop, I listen to rock, I listen to gospel, I listen to classical. I don't want to turn anybody off here by saying this, but probably last on my list is country and Western. Like, I like some of it, and I play a lot of instruments myself, but that's, you know, that would probably be further down on the list. But just listening to music, something that will inspire me and get me going, and on my walk and talks, if I'm not talking, to listen to that and you know, feed myself.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, you had this wild saxophone behind you. I was expecting the saxophone, but then boom, giant lion now is showing up.
Good memory, yeah.
Okay, so that's how to kind of fight the internal battles. Now what about external? If you take one level up, what might be family, parents, friends, and then the next level up might be people who you need to, you know, work with, like bankers. And I think about your story with the bankers. They all said no, and then you said get in the car and like show me how to do one. Like tell me, instead of how not to make it work, help me make it work.
Yeah, don't
How do
tell
we
me
now?
why I can't. Show me how I can.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that was the big
I got
deal.
the exact phrase wrong. But that mindset, right, of first to your family and then to the next circle out of people who you need to be involved in your business. How do you fight for that?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, you've always heard the saying that it's hard to do business with family, and sometimes that's the case. But I've also seen very successful family businesses. So I think particularly with family, because I've had ideas before, Evan, that I've told my family, and they have been vehemently against them. I mean, they've like, there's no way that could happen, and that is again what I said about having a desire. That was my desire. It wasn't theirs. So I can't fault them for not believing in my desire or my dream, because it's not their dream. And then you have to make a decision specifically with family. Do I do business with family because they're family, or because they're really qualified to help me, and they're really behind me? Sometimes you have to make that decision of, I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. I love you, uncle. I love you, aunt. But I'm going to choose to have you part of just my family and not my business. Like sometimes, especially when your life is so consumed with business like mine is, sometimes you just have to say that. Like I could be a better son to you or an uncle to you or whatever than I could be a business partner. And you make that decision, and you don't hold anything against them, again, because it's not their dream, it's yours. But sometimes you may have to decide, in order to salvage a family relation, you have to sort of excuse them from the business side of your life. And I've had to do that with a few of my family members. Some I've worked with, some I've had some successful outcomes with, and others you kind of have to make that distinction. But my point is, don't get mad at your family because they don't understand you, or you may not be able to work with them. You can't get offended and say, well, I'm just going to write you off. No, separate it out and say, I would be a better family member to you than I would be a business partner, and have a great family. So that's sort of that level of how I would approach looking at potentially working with family or salvaging a family relationship.
So what if you're not trying to bring them into the business, but you just like their support? You feel like you're alone. You tell them your crazy idea. They say you're crazy, don't do it, but you want to do it. You may not want them to be your business partner, but you'd love to have some family support. What advice would you give?
Well, no matter how much you would love to have it, you can't make anybody do it. So that goes way back in what their parents have told them, and the environment maybe that they grew up in. Maybe they just don't get it and will never get it. So again, the big takeaway here is you can't be offended by that. You can't say, well, you don't love me unless you support me. They just may not understand you and never would understand you. So go to another family member. If you need family support and commitment, say, hey, it's cool with this one. I kind of know the parameters. I understand maybe how they grew up or what they've been accustomed to. And don't let that tear you down. Go to a family member who will support you.
I love it. So you're doing so many things now. You're a consultant. You're a business builder. You've got your show. You're speaking all over the place. What are you most excited about right now?
I love taking a business idea and taking it to the next level. I love negotiating. I love to get into a situation, and whether it's $1,000 or $1 billion, and I've been on both sides of that coin, I love making a difference in someone's life, and I love to see both sides win. I don't mean to be cliche here, but the perfect thing is to go into a situation where it may be a little chaotic and there may be pandemonium going on, and I can step in and with my experience sort of think outside of the box, set your ego at the door first, and then really get into the situation, understand both sides, bring some out of the box creative thinking to the table, and get a deal done. Like that's probably, when I retired at 35 and I was interviewed, and the guy goes, well, what would you do if money wasn't an issue? And I go, well, it's not an issue, and I'm doing it now. Like, I'm helping other businesses. I'm helping other business people. Like, some people play golf. I love to do deals. I love to negotiate deals and where there's a successful outcome for both sides.
I love it, man. Henry Penix, the business fighter. Where do you want people to go to find more about you? IG, the podcast, what's the best place?
Yeah, Henry Penix on Instagram, Henry Penix on Facebook, and then on my website, henrypenix.com. Anything with Henry Penix in it. And don't misspell the last name. That got me in a lot of fights. It's Penix. So go to any of those mediums, and you can you can learn more or see more of me.
Cool, man. Appreciate the time, and I'm so pumped that you're on this mission now to share your message and the content too. Thank
you, Evan. You'll never know how much this means to me to have this interview and everything that you've done for other people, and your reach is amazing. And I'm not trying to butter you up because I've already been interviewed. So I really mean that, man. Keep up the good work as well. You're an amazing individual. Awesome, man. Thank you so much. Okay, see you, Evan. Take care. Bye-bye. If you want to see the one-on-one I did with Tony Robbins, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there. It's not the amount of money. It's the amount of time. Time is your greatest friend here.